It could be a banner year for yields in Arkansas. The state is forecast to pull some big numbers when it comes to corn, rice, and soybeans. But as the Arkansas Farm Bureau reports, there's concern profits could be in jeopardy due to dry conditions along the Mississippi River.
We started our harvest last week, and if you can start in August here in central Arkansas, that's a real bonus. Typically we start around the 1st of September, and so far what we've cut's been pretty solid. The corn's running over 200 bushel. I'm here in South Arkansas, had a really good corn crop. They're about to wrap it up down there.
Everything I've looked at this year, I think we're gonna have a phenomenal soybean crop. USDA right now has us picked at 53 bushels state average, which is a bushel better than we were the last 2 years. You know, typically I'm a little bit below that, but I think this year 53 may be a little bit short. It may be 53, it may be a little bit better than 53.
I really think for Lonoke County, rice harvest will really get going next week. I think it's going now, but I think they're having to really look for fields to cut. Now I think the potential for rice exports this year in Arkansas is real good. The largest exporter this year came out and said they were going to ban. They got to make up that rice that's not being exported. They got to find it somewhere. And I think the rice crop's going to be pretty good if we can get it out and we don't get a hurricane or something doesn't pop up.
I think we're going to have a phenomenal soybean crop. Really early crop got planted. We're about 20% ahead of where we typically have been the last 5 years, setting on about 20, 28, 30%, starting to drop leaves. And if you look at the 5-year average, it's 11. So we're well ahead of where we typically are. The crop as a whole, we're about 70% good to excellent. So I think we're setting on a really good crop. Last year with the drought we had, especially up in the Midwest and northern U.S., river levels got pretty low. The grain started backing up. Basis went pretty poor there at one point. The farmers really couldn't deliver a lot of their grain because the elevators on the river couldn't ship stuff downriver, and so they were starting to fill up, and then therefore there's really no place to put anything in the elevators on the river. With the drought we've had, up in the Midwest and here in the Mid-South a little bit, river levels are a little bit low. I haven't heard of any major concerns yet, but if you look at the long-term forecast, there's really not a whole lot of rainfall in the next few weeks. And so that could be a concern and a bottleneck. And so in the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we'll really be, cutting a lot of soybeans, especially a lot of this early crop we got planted in April. Harvest is going to be a little bit earlier than we have been the last several years. So hopefully, the river levels will at least, moderate and come back up so we can get some of this crop out, pretty rapidly down to the Gulf.
The corn that's coming off right now, it's putting pressure on the basis. Typically we can sell our corn for 20 cents over, 25 cents over. It's probably 20, 25 cents under right now. What I'm hearing is the river's low, and the corn's going to tie up a lot of barges. And the river's probably going to keep getting low because there's no rain in the Midwest. The people I've talked to, the basis is probably going to get worse on soybeans between now and the end of harvest, just because it's going to be hard to transportation barges. Right now, I think they're moving. I think they're doing okay, but it happened to us last year. There was a point in there where the basis really widened. Didn't last long. But if you were cutting beans and you didn't have a place to go, or you didn't have your basis or your price locked down, put you in a bad position.
The longer they have to hold that grain before it goes down the river to the Gulf, the more money they have to spend. So therefore, the basis is not going to be as good as it typically is if we can get the grain down the river, in a somewhat rapid fashion.